my first book tag, and I am going to be talking about the most intimidating books on my TBR, which, let's face it, is a lot. And before we get into it, a quick little reminder to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and also follow my Instagram because I'd highly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, I kind of went through this tag prior to filming this, so I kind of had some books prepared for you guys. So if I'm looking down at my notes, that's what I'm looking at. So the first one is a book on your TV. That did not come out of my mouth correctly. A book on your TBR pile that you haven't finished. So the most recent DNF that I had was In Order to Live by Yunmi Park. I started the book on audio and I just had to stop. I think I made it like 30 or 40% of the way through, and it was just really emotionally rough for me to read, especially what's going on right now in the whole political climate and what's going on in the world. Reading something about an issue that I felt kind of hit a little too close to home for me at the moment. If you guys are not familiar, my mom was born in Korea and had a bit of a tumultuous upbringing, so as I was reading it, it wasn't, I was just having a hard time. So I was getting to the point where I wasn't taking what I wanted to take away from the book. Instead, I was just really struggling getting through the content matter. So I just thought, right now I'm gonna put it down. I will come back and revisit it maybe when I'm in a better mental or emotional state. But anyways, so that was the most recent book on my intimidating TBR list that I DNF'd. The next question is a book you just haven't had time to read. Okay. This baby, oh god, I almost dropped that on my foot and it would have hurt because it's this chunker here, which is The Stand by Stephen King. I know so many people who are Stephen King fans have said I need to read this, and this is one of the books that's very famous from Stephen King that I haven't yet. Obviously you could see why. This book, the uncut version in particular, is, let's just say it's like 1,200 pages long. I actually attempted to start this a couple weeks ago. I got the audiobook on Libby and it was almost 50 hours long. Let me repeat that. 50, that is 50 hours long. I've never listened to an audiobook that long. So anyways, frankly, I don't have time to commit to this book right now like I like to. I want to like absorb this book, especially because it's about a flu. And what do you know? Maybe it brings a little too close to home too. The next question is a book you haven't read because it's a sequel. I don't know if I'm misunderstanding this question, but this is my answer. It's actually the like third book in the trilogy of the Me Before You books by Jojo Moyes, the Still Me. The last book, I did read Me Before You, which was one of my all-time favorite books. And the sequel, After You, was so bad, it kind of affected my thoughts on the first book. And I actually found Still Me at a Goodwill, so I just bought it at the time. And I haven't gotten to it yet because I don't want to ruin the first book anymore because the second one was that bad. That's my answer to that question. I might be answering this completely wrong, but story of my life. The next question is a book you haven't read because it's brand new. So I have two, and obviously I don't have them yet. So the first one is Later by Stephen King. It is his most recent book. I believe it's like a mystery thriller, and the only reason that I haven't picked it up yet, even though it is available in stores and online, is because I want to read the other hard case crimes book, Joyland. I've read The Colorado Kid, which I actually didn't like. I gave that like a 2 out of 5 stars. I've heard Joyland's a lot better, so I want to read that one first before I get to Later, even though I'm pretty sure they don't have anything to do with one another. I just want to get that under my belt first. And then the other book that I haven't read because it's brand new is Crying in H Mart. I just pre-ordered it this morning, and I think it's going to be really emotional for me too. Just even reading the summary of the book, I was getting emotional, like teary-eyed, because it's essentially about, it's a memoir, so the author goes through her experience. She is half Korean and half white like I am, so her father's Caucasian and her mother's Korean, and her mother passed away from cancer, so she's kind of having to navigate the world without that like Korean side of her. And even in the summary of the book, she talks about being in H Mart, trying to like pick seaweed types, but she's used to like calling her mom and like reading the seaweed to ask what type she should buy. And I have actually done that specific thing in H Mart. I literally did that like a month ago where I called mom and I was like, hey mom, so I'm trying to make some kimbap. What kind of seaweed paper should I buy? And I was like reading the Korean, the Hangul on the packaging to her. So she'd tell me which one to buy. So yeah, that one's probably gonna be a doozy, but I think it's gonna be really valuable for me to read. It's gonna be a little bit of like a mirror for me, I have a feeling. The next question is a book by an author you read previously but didn't really like. So I don't have the physical book of this, but the book that I'm thinking of, or the author, is Naomi Novik, and I read A Deadly Education, which was Scholomance #1, I believe. And I had higher expectations for that. I really didn't like the book, to be honest. I felt it a little info dumpy at times, and I just found the main character really obnoxious and tedious to read and horribly unpleasant, because she's supposed to be this like cynical, I stand by myself type of female character, but for me it was like, ooh, you're a little like prickly at times. So I have a feeling that that was just her intention with writing that character, and it's probably very polarizing because I think some people really like reading that type of character. I, on the other hand, didn't enjoy it. Total personal preference. But I've heard that her other like fantasy books are really good, so it's not to say that I wouldn't enjoy, or I don't think I would enjoy some of her other books. I'll definitely give her a second shot. But yeah, I really didn't like that book. I got a dog hair stuck to my lip gloss. I got it. A book on your TBR pile that you just not in the mood, or just are not in the mood to read. Basically all my classics. I want to do like a video where I talk about me reading a bunch of classics in a row, so like The Three Musketeers or 1984 or A Phantom of the Opera. Like I picked up a bunch of classic books, or even some American classics. I do want to go through and read them, but I have to be in the mood. I have to, I don't know, get my like thinking analytical cap on for those, and I just haven't been in the mind space to be like that. So a book on your TBR, that like acronym is so hard for me to spit out right now, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the dog hair on my lip gloss. A book on your TBR pile that you haven't read because it's enormous. Okay, so this one definitely goes for The Stand, but it's another Stephen King book. I'm sorry. It's another doozy. It's another book that's gonna make your wrist sore from supporting the pure weight of this book and all of its pages. But this is another book that I haven't gone to purely for the length, and I know, again, this is one of Stephen King's, if not the most famous book of his, it's just like culturally one of the most recognizable because of the most recent movie adaptations. I want to read this book. I haven't even seen any of the adaptations, by the way. But yeah, I'm really into, obviously, Stephen King, but he's got some long books. So this is another book, just because of the pure length of it, I haven't gotten into, but like, I'm dying to read about Pennywise. I want to get the hype. I have no idea. I know he's a scary clown. She's a scary clown? I don't even know. A book on your TBR you bought because of the cover. I actually didn't see this question, so I don't have an answer prepared. Sorry. A book on your TBR you find the most intimidating. Okay, so this, you guys have heard me talk about it before, and I have been mentally and reading-wise, I've been psyching myself up for this series, and it is The Dark Tower by Stephen King. Yes, I picked my pretty copies because I had to show them off. So The Dark Tower is obviously another one of Stephen King's very famous series. It has a whole world in this that he's built with its own magic system, and I have been waiting to read this series, even though everyone has been telling me just get on The Dark Tower, Morgan, because I wanted to make some of the connections in the Stephen King universe or multiverse for myself by reading some of his other works first. I'm almost getting to a point where I think I'm prepared and almost ready to read. Like I said, I gotta read it because I know that has a lot of connections with the Dark Tower series. But once I start knocking off some of those last books that I have before reading the series, I'm going to be attempting a read, and I will go ahead and probably vlog it for you guys because I think some of you guys are interested to hear my takes. It's been a long time since I've read like a full series about a whole different world and kind of analyzing the world building, analyzing the characters, looking into the magic system. I honestly, besides Harry Potter, I think that's the last time I've read a book series that I can even say would put my mind in a similar space as I think these are going to, and I think even then, this is obviously going to be a lot more complicated, so I'm hoping I'm smart enough. Which sounds really weird, but like I said, that's why I've been doing so much prep work, because I want to get the most out of this series. So let's hope I also enjoy it, because I think if I'm not into it, that'll be a bit of a letdown. But yeah, that is the most intimidating, what was the question? Most intimidating book or book series on my TBR. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, this was my first book tag, and I love watching these book tags because it makes me feel a little bit more human, or it humanizes other booktubers for me, because a lot of times I put booktubers on such a pedestal because I'm such a noob at this. Sometimes I feel a little intimidated in general to even be talking about books online or talking about my opinions about books, because I feel like, I don't know, I admire so many booktubers out there. I think they have such great takes and opinions, so I'm still getting used to this. But yeah, I like watching other booktubers do this. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know in the comment section down below some of your answers to some of these questions, or you could do the full tag in the comment section down below, and I'd be curious to check them out. I read all the comments. If I don't get back to all of them, it's just because I have so many things to keep up with amongst all of my different social media platforms, but I do read them. As always, I hope you guys are happy and healthy, and don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share with friends and family, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!